Steelers Nation absolutely took over Las Vegas last weekend, and the Steelers left Sin City with a very convincing win over the Las Vegas Raiders. Today we're going to be going over both sides of the football and going over how this past week against the Las Vegas Raiders went for our Pittsburgh Steelers. My name is Christian Bober, also known as Crytose, and real quick before we dive into this video, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn those post notifications on. Leave a comment as well, all feedback is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, let's dive right into this video. We've got a lot to get into this week. I took last week off after that performance against the Cowboys. I hope you guys understand. That game was just so frustrating. I needed a Pittsburgh Steelers detox for the week. I'm not even going to waste any breath on the game. We just got to move past it. To lose in such a fashion like that and just to play such a rough game against Cowboys, it was just so demoralizing and I just couldn't bring myself to make a video on it. As of today, Mike Tomlin had his weekly press conference and he insinuated that Russell Wilson is going to get the nod against the New York Jets this Sunday. And I'm going to try and stay as unbiased as I can because as you guys can tell from my prior videos, I'm a big Justin Fields supporter. I think that his legs are the entire offense as of right now, which is why I don't really understand this move at all by Mike Tomlin. I understand you have Russell Wilson as the second string. He's fully healthy as of right now. You want to see what you have in him. You signed him this year to the one-year deal, and you have no clue what he can do for your team right now. The only reason that I would support and understand Russell Wilson getting the nod this Sunday is if you want more from your passing game, but I don't think that that's even a possibility. Russell Wilson is definitely a better passer than Justin Fields. That's obvious, especially these last 2 weeks. Justin Fields has kind of regressed in the passing game. But with that being said, our targets and passing game is just not up to par to where Russell Wilson can come in and make a big difference. The only thing that I see right now is that Russell Wilson is going to be able to get the ball to Pickens a little bit more than Fields has. I think this Pittsburgh Steelers identity right now with Justin Fields at quarterback is to run the ball, get pass plays here and there, and Justin Fields' legs are the offense, like I said earlier. He can make those plays happen, especially behind an offensive line like this. So many injuries, especially with Zach Frazier going down. You have McCollum starting at center. It's just going to be a mess. Russ holds the ball way too long for my liking. Justin Fields is also known for it, but his time to throw has went down. It's the best it's ever been with the Steelers. He's being decisive. He's making smart plays. Not many turnover-worthy plays other than a few fumbles. There was an interception taken back by roughing the passer last week, which you don't like to see. But I just think that the rushing capability from Justin Fields gives him the edge against Russell Wilson. It just doesn't make sense to me. We'll see this Sunday who actually gets the nod. Mike Tomlin just said that he is in consideration to be the starter, which I think he will end up getting the nod over Justin Fields. But it's just really a weird situation. The age difference. What is the plan for the future? We're just going to have to wait and see. It's really interesting to watch it go down. But that's enough from me. That's the end of my tangent. The whole nation's going to see in primetime how Russell Wilson does for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now getting into the game review, starting with none other than the quarterback position. Justin Fields didn't have the greatest game as a pure passer, but he was able to go for over 50 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, which helped the Steelers get over 30 points for the first time this season. Fields had a really bad drive earlier in the game where he had multiple overthrows and missed targets in a row, and it absolutely killed the drive for the Steelers. That's stuff you just really don't like to see from your quarterback, and it was really bad to watch. Justin Fields had a decent game, but not one of his best, especially as a Steeler. But a lot of the points for the 30 bomb, large in part, came from the defense and the rushing attack. The defense had a lot of great plays, especially TJ Watt and Dante Jackson, that put us in really good position for the rushing game to take over and get in the end zone. Also, part of that was the big block punt from Jeremiah Moon, which really set up the Steelers in a really good position, and it was a huge part of the game. I think my biggest gripe as of right now is that the Steelers are playing winning football. They just put up 32 points. I don't think that there's a reason to pull Justin Fields other than his passing capabilities, but he's shown us he can go for 300 yards. And I just think that a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans are never satisfied. First, it was we couldn't score a lot of points. We go and put up 32. Large in part, like I said, due to the defense, special teams, stuff like that. But then when we do put up those big numbers, they say, oh, Justin Fields didn't throw for a lot of yards. We didn't get a lot of stats. Like Mike Tomlin said today, stats are usually for losers. It's comfort food for whenever you lose a game. I just don't think that Fields is stressing, or Mike Tomlin's stressing about how many passing yards Justin Fields had. Moving on to the running backs, and oh my god, did Najee Harris have the best game of his career for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had 14 carries, 106 rushing yards, 7.6 yards per carry, and his first touchdown on the season. He absolutely went off, and it looked like we saw Alabama Najee this game. He had an amazing game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was a large part to the scoring on offense. Najee Harris showed us why the Steelers used a first-round pick on him. He had a really good game, and he really needed a game like this. It's a contract year for him. He broke a defender's ankles, which was an absolutely great play. We haven't seen some shiftiness and elusiveness from Najee like that in a while. And on the touchdown play, he jumped from the 5-yard line and dove into the end zone. Just an absolutely great play all around. It's great stuff to see. But on the flip side, Jaylen Warren was not effective whatsoever. 6 carries for 7 yards. He just came back from the injury, so I don't think it's anything too crazy. But with Cordell Patterson coming back probably this week, I'm expecting the run game to continue to be a really big part of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. With Russ coming in, I'm going to expect a lot of play action. And maybe that run game will start to get going throughout the season. We know how Najee Harris is. He gets heated up as the season goes on, so we'll just have to continue to watch the running back room. Now moving on to the receivers and tight ends, there's not much to talk about here. Pickens led the team in receiving yards with 53. They force-fed him towards the end of the game, trying to appease him, I guess, make him in a good mood. He had a few drops, not his greatest game, especially after a week like last week. You would expect more from him to bounce back, kind of like he did last year whenever there was concerns with his blocking. He came back against the Bengals and had his best career game. There was a few throws that he really should have came down with, and it's really weird that he doesn't make those catches, but he can make really difficult catches. The Steelers' offensive line continues to fight injuries. It's been their biggest thing all season. They didn't have the greatest game. They didn't have the worst game against the Raiders. Zach Frazier, probably our best lineman right now, went down with an ankle injury. He's considered week to week. I'd expect him to miss this week against the Jets and then start to work his way back. One play that I just want to point out from the offensive line was this play from Broderick Jones. He goes and thinks that it's a run play. He does his run blocking, and then he turns around and realizes it's a pass play. Just stuff you really don't like to see from your second-year first-round pick. Really rough stuff to watch from Broderick Jones. I think McCormick has filled in decently at the right guard. He'll continue to get better. He's a late round draft pick, rookie, so I think he'll just continue to work and get coached up. Sam Muller's been back in the lineup for the past 2 weeks. Against the Cowboys, he had one play where he just got absolutely bull rushed. But this week against the Raiders, he really worked hard and he did a really good job up front. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, and TJ Watt was a game wrecker. He didn't even record a sack, but he had 2 crucial forced fumbles that propelled the Steelers really and helped them score 32 points in this game. It's hard to watch the Steelers defense and say that TJ Watt is not the best defensive player in all of the NFL. And I think it's almost getting to that point where we're going to have to start putting TJ Watt in the top 3 best defensive players of all time. I mean, this play at the goal line, just when you think the Raiders are about to punch it into the end zone, and TJ Watt comes up and punches the ball out, it's just an absolutely great play. The Pittsburgh Steelers need those turnovers to win games. Highest paid defense in the league, that's what you expect from your team, and TJ Watt never fails to deliver. Nick Herbig was out this week with a hamstring injury, and with Alex Highsmith already out, it was looking like a real weak point across from TJ Watt. We saw a rotation of a few guys, but especially Jeremiah Moon seemed to step up to the occasion. With all things considered, he looked like a good rotational piece. With Alex Highsmith looking like he's going to play against the Jets this weekend, and Nick Herbig working up to health, he's probably going to be back in a few weeks. We're not going to see much from Jeremiah Moon, but he came up big on the special teams whenever he blocked that punt. I think he'll continue to stay on the 53-man roster just for that special teams aspect alone. Moving on to the interior linebackers, it's looking like Patrick Queen has finally arrived. Definitely his best game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's what we wanted whenever we signed him. He was flying all over the field, making plays, using that downhill quick speed to blow up the offense. He was great in coverage, getting around blocks, everything you want from Patrick Queen, he delivered against the Raiders. And moving on to the safeties, Deshaun Elliott, like I keep mentioning, has been one of the greatest additions for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It seems like every single play he's in there somehow. He just flies all across the field, he makes big plays. He set up that forced fumble from TJ Watt, he tackled the player at the 1-yard line, and it's just looking like Deshaun Elliott's having a Pro Bowl type of year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But opposite of Deshaun Elliott, Minkah Fitzpatrick, has not recorded a turnover since 2022, like I mentioned in my last video. I understand that's not what it's all about. He's been pretty good in coverage, but he's a premier safety in the league. You expect those guys to get turnovers. I completely understand that's not what it's all about, but it just seems like he's always half a second late to those big time receptions. He flies in and he's just slightly late to the play. That's not what we expect from Minkah Fitzpatrick. For a guy like that, you set the bar high. You expect him to make those big plays, come in, hit the ball out whenever they're just receiving it, get there that half second sooner, and be that ball hog that we all know and love. I think he'll get back to that. He's due for a turnover. Moving on to the corners, Joey Porter's been playing pretty good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had his first interception of the season, making it his second career interception against the Cowboys. But the biggest thing is the offseason addition of Dante Jackson. He has 3 interceptions on the season. He's been great in coverage. I believe he's top 3 in the league in interceptions. He's been absolutely great in coverage, like I said. He's all over the place, making big plays, and his tackling's not that bad either. And ending things off with the D-line, Cam Hayward is absolutely not playing like his age. He's been an absolute animal for us, stuffing some runs. There's a few plays where he's not as effective, but overall, Cam Hayward's been playing amazing. Same thing with Keanu Benton. He recovered one of TJ's forced fumbles, and the D-line has just been playing pretty well. The D-line has struggled against the run here and there, but I don't think that's who they are. I think they'll continue to be a great group, especially with Benton and Hayward. They're 2 of the best in the league, in my opinion. And to cap off the video, shout out to Chris Boswell. He's been absolutely amazing, one of the best kickers in the league. He had a big game against the Raiders as well, and he's just automatic no matter where he's hitting from. With all that being said, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-2 on the season, currently second in the AFC North, but they're tied with the Baltimore Ravens at 4-2. They look forward to playing the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers on Sunday Night Football once again. 2 times in 3 weeks, Sunday Night Football. There's going to be a lot of big headlines there with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, and then Russell Wilson most likely getting his first start. Hopefully the Steelers come out of this game 5-2, but with that being said, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, leave a like and comment if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys after next week's game against the New York Jets.